Welcome back, my students, to a brand new episode of Comic Class. In today's lesson, guys, we'll be going over Joshua Williamson's Batman issue 24 Abyss finale. And yeah, I had no idea that Abyss's story arc was going to have at least one more issue. I'd already dropped my full story on the Abyss story arc, so I was a little mad that apparently this wasn't put at the end of the last issue, if I'm correct, of what I had covered regarding the Abyss story arc review. So to me, that kind of sucks. That when you go look at that video, I kind of made it seem like it was the entire story, but this is indeed the finale. And yeah, with that being said and that out of the way, let's jump right into today's story. Let's go. So this story basically starts off with a couple basically going into some type of back alley as the wife or girlfriend basically tells the dude that, that you sure aren't you worried Abyss could be, and he basically says that Batman got Abyss, baby, and we see that he says, we're safe, and this is where Abyss makes his comeback. Basically says, are you? And he basically says, what makes you feel like you deserve to be safe? And we can see that Abyss apparently is still stalking the streets of Benicia, I think is this place. That was, where Abyss was kind of located at in the Abyss story arc. And yeah, while that's going on, we get to see that Clown Hunter and Ghostmaker basically training, as well as seeing other members of the Bat family doing stuff like Damian and Talia apparently are off the radar after Talia escaped from the DEO. So it seems like this was done in Robin issue number 15. I will have my review out of Shadow War hopefully soon. I had already had the stuff ready to do that video, but apparently it got deleted somehow. So it will take a little bit longer to get that video out, but we will be talking about that story arc. But apparently this takes place after that, so Talia has indeed escaped from the DEO, and she did not do what her father basically wanted after all, it seems, or at least didn't stick to it, to what her father wanted after all. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And Oracle basically tells Batman that Abyss apparently is back and that she was going to tell him and basically get him to the location, but she basically says, you're already in Benicia, aren't you? Now you see that Batman is in Benicia. He's basically driving this bat cycle, which is basically the thumbnail for this video, part of the thumbnail for this video, because it's just a very cool, well-drawn panel. And we get to see that he says that Abyss and I have unfinished business, so I was keeping an eye on Benicia. I saw the news, basically, he said. And, so Batman's basically on the case. Eventually, he thinks that, that apparently this could be, Luthor that's down with this whole entire Abyss thing because the old LexCorp building has been torched. Then he says, it could have been Luthor covering his tracks or someone else. And he sees that more of the Abyss, I guess, test tubes, like these capsules that were used to create their own Batman, basically, that we saw in the Abyss story arc for Lex Luthor, basically have been shattered and broken, basically. So hopefully something comes about this in a future story arc or storyline or something. So we get to see that Batman faces down Abyss as Abyss is on top of one of the rooftops. Him and Batman get into a chase sequence, and it's revealed to us that before Batman can go all out on Abyss, that Detective Kaya basically reveals herself to be dressing up as Abyss, and she basically explains to Batman why exactly she's dressed up as Abyss and that she wants to use it to put fear into people because apparently some people in Benicia have kidnapped her parents, and she's trying to use this fear to get information on where her parents' disappearance actually is, basically, like who's the one that caused her parents' disappearance and kidnapped them, basically. So we get to see that Batman explains to her that he went through a similar situation of having his parents basically taken from him, and that he faced down the man. He was able to see the man that actually killed them, and he has come down to a choice, and he even imagined killing the dude and getting his own sense of justice. But when he finally got to that moment of looking at him, he came to his decision, which we find out at the end of the story. And we get to see that Detective Kaya basically says that she has a lead on where exactly the hideout is for her parents, might have killed her, basically, that they might have actually killed her parents. So she knows who exactly has done this, is heading to that place right now, and that she's going to need help, but, if Batman's not willing to help, she's going to go anyway. So she basically goes off, basically, as she says, that if I go along, I could die, but I'm doing this with or without you. So her and Batman basically arrive to the place that this guy is basically hiding out at, with his goons basically, and Batman and Detective Kaya dressed up as Abyss basically made quick work of all of his goons. Eventually, she's able to grab the guy that apparently killed her parents, as she does ask him where exactly Arjun and Joy Kaya, which are the names of her parents, and the guy basically says that they have been, a long time dead, basically that they're dead and buried. And what do you want from me? So she basically says that he's gonna die for what he's done, and while she's about to kill him, she wants Batman to basically stop her, is testing Batman to stop her. He basically just watches and allows her to make her own decisions. And I really enjoyed this scene as she kind of like looks back at him over and over again, keeps asking him, if you don't do something, that this guy's gonna die. And he basically puts it all in her hands. And at the end, she decides to make the right choice and not kill this dude, but instead let the law deal with him, basically. And he does tell her everything that she needs to know, as basically I guess she let him, as Abyss, she let him go, and that he made a deal, in his eyes, Abyss made a deal with Detective Kaya about not letting Abyss get to him, basically, as he says, no, Happy, I told you everything I know. Just don't let Abyss get me, please. So he doesn't know that she's actually was the one dressed up as Abyss. So I thought that was a little funny, a little ironic, but at the end of the day, the whole scene was done really well, and I really like how he was like pretty scared, and like I said, it was funny and ironic that he was scared to deal with Abyss, despite her Detective Kaya basically being Abyss. So I thought that was funny. And Detective Kaya sees the police basically take this guy away, her parents kill her, and her parents basically are like shown in a ditch as skeletons. It's kind of messed up, and it makes you wonder how long the time skip, or the time frame was between the Abyss story arc and this story, the finale basically of it, or if this was a long-standing case that Detective Kaya was trying to figure out way before we were introduced to her. I think in the Abyss story, I think that was her debut as a character. I'm not sure, maybe she was introduced way before that, but by what I know, I think that was her debut. So maybe this was something she was already going through. I'm not sure, but anyway, she basically says, why didn't you stop me, to Batman, and Batman shows that he's actually there watching the whole situation. And he said, I've seen others go down this path before. If I stopped from killing him today, then it wouldn't be the last time. And I really like that because it kind of shows the experience he has in dealing with people like this, and that you had the Under the Red Hood, or Under the Hood storyline with Red Hood slash Jason Todd. That whole situation of him wanting to kill some criminals and stuff and putting the law into his own hands. I mean, in a way, Batman does that too. He just doesn't kill. But it was basically raising that question if you should kill certain villains or not, and it was kind of being shown here as well. But Ted Kai is definitely not Jason Todd and what he actually went through, and his has a lot more weight when considering his mindset of how he views villains at that point in his life, and wanting to basically kill them, basically to make a better society for a bit better city for society, to not have to worry about people innocently getting killed by these villains and stuff like that, and kind of like putting it on Batman and not putting it in his hands of taking them out, killing them to protect the many innocents. So as Batman basically is leaving, he basically tells her to contact Batman Inc. They are waiting for your call, stay out of trouble. Because Detective Kai basically says, does your offer still stand? So I guess he had offered her a place on Batman Inc. So that's pretty cool. And I think Detective Kaya is a really interesting character, so I would like to see her with Ghostmaker. And the fact that they're putting so many of these new characters together to form a organic team organically, and making it feel natural and organic, is very cool. And you don't really see that a lot in modern comics, where a lot of writers would like to just push these characters on you basically and telling you to accept them. Batman's doing a really good job this series in introducing a lot of these new characters, putting them together to make them stand out on their own, and I think they're doing a really good job with it. And I think Detective Kaya will be a massive add-on, like improvement for Batman Inc. for getting people to want to see a solo series of that. I think he already has a solo series. I'm not sure if it's called Ghostmaker and Clown Hunter or something like that, or maybe Clown Hunter, or maybe just Batman Inc. I don't know, but her addition to it will be fantastic, and hopefully it makes that book sell more, as you'll have a lot of good dynamics, and having a really good detective on the team, as well as she has good hand-to-hand combat skills and I guess some skills with weapons, as we saw with her dressed up as Abyss and was able to use some of his weapons, it seemed. But yeah, but basically, Tetrakai says, hey, Wade, did you do it? Did you kill him, the man who took from you? And Batman says no, and Tetrakai says, why not? And Batman says, because in that moment when I stared into the dark, I saw something that scared me. And the story ends with Batman saying, I saw myself. And we see Batman basically jumping back into action. And that's how the story ends. And yeah, that was Joshua Williamson's Batman issue 124 Abyss finale. It was a very solid issue and a very solid end to the Abyss story arc. I really enjoyed it. I thought the art, as always, has been fantastic in the Batman ongoing for the last 2 to 3 years, ever since James Tynion the Fourth and Jorge Jimenez basically brought on their run. Everything about Batman has just been great. It might have its little dips here and there, but overall it's very solid and consistent read, and I really do enjoy reading it every time it comes out. When I'm able to catch it, basically, and whenever I'm able to catch up, I really enjoy myself, especially recently. And I am looking forward to the next issue that's supposed to come out today, which is supposed to be issue 125, which is the start of the Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez run, which I hear is going to be fantastic, and a lot of people are hyping it up. At DC, it seems. And Chip Zdarsky is a fantastic writer. Jorge Jimenez is my favorite comic book artist on the scene right now. And it's just a really good match, and I'm really hoping that we're going to get some really good content with this new run. And we'll see how long it lasts. Hopefully it lasts for at least a year or two. Maybe even, 3 or more. Considering, maybe 3 or 4. Because I hear that they really want a long, ongoing Batman run. So hopefully the rumors are true on that, and we're going to have Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez for a lot of years to come. Because I think it's about time we have a long run on Batman again, as long as it's decent, it's consistent, and it can have its ups and downs, but as long as there's more ups and downs, I really don't see any reason to complain. And I'm looking really forward, and I'm having high hopes for issue 125, the start of the Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez run, Batman. Now, like I said, this issue was fantastic. It was a good ending for that storyline. Hopefully, like I said, I will have a link in the description down below. Check out on Amazon/Comixology. Check out legally. As always, I always do that for these reviews. I recommend you go check it out. I do recommend you check out my entire review of the Abyss story arc, minus this part, I guess, considering that I didn't know that this was actually going to be the finale instead of the last one that was in the Abyss story arc of those set of issues, basically. So I'm sorry about that, because I thought that last issue and that story arc was the end of the story. Considering that we had went into Shadow War, and I probably should have done more research to make sure I didn't make this mistake, and hopefully I don't make this mistake again in the future regarding the Batman story arcs going forward, storylines, as well as other comics that I'm covering here on the channel. But that's gonna be all, guys. Till next video, guys, God bless you, and until next lesson, keep on reading those comics.